So it's been a couple weeks now since the 2 trailers for Azure Promilia released, and since then we haven't seen any new information about the game. And I couldn't find many new videos talking about the game, and most, if not all of them, didn't mention anything new. So after doing some research myself, I can happily say that I was able to find some exciting stuff, not only pictures, but most importantly, this official statement from Manjuu Networks on Chinese site BilliBilli. Now, of course, not all of us speak Chinese, and as much of a surprise this may be, I don't speak Chinese either. But God gave us a perfect tool for these types of problems called Google Translate. This being a translation, we have to keep in mind that meanings can be changed or completely lost through translations. First and foremost, one pretty important one is Blue Star Planes Travel Ballad. What the hell that might be, you ask? Well, if we Google this, we can see not only one but 2 videos about Azure Promilia. If we go to images, we can see the first picture is also one about Azure Promilia. So I'm pretty sure this is just the translated word in Chinese for Azure Promilia, translated back to English being this weird thing. But enough talking, let's get into the article because we have a lot to read. First of all, I would like to sincerely thank you all for your attention to the latest game product, Azure Promilia, produced by an Manjuu network. After the PV was released, we received a lot of suggestions and feedback on various platforms. We carefully read and sorted out the issues that everyone was concerned about. Everyone expressed their opinions on the original intention of the Azure Promilia product and direction of subsequent production, content and vision. Here we would like to talk to you about some of our product plans and directions. Nothing too crazy, it's just a nice welcoming start for this entire article. So let's head to the first point they are mentioning. Why was Azure Promilia suddenly released for the first time? The project has been established around 2021 and has recently received a version number. We believe that the first exposure is a test to expose the product to the market for users to test. So we have displayed the current development result of the project in its first exposure PV. And we also hope that everyone can test what we have done in the past few years. Phased results of efforts. Here we would like to thank everyone once again for paying attention to and look forward to Azure Promilia. So they feel confident enough, they have reached a certain point in development where they feel confident enough to tell the public about this new game. So it's not going to be disposed of quietly, right? Second point, will Azure Promilia have an impact on the future development of Azure Lane? We hereby responsibly promise that we will not. Azure Promilia has established a separate project team since the project was established. It only inherited the art-related management experience of Azure Lane, and the research and development project teams have always been completely independent. Azure Lane is Manjuu's representative work. In fact, we have not slacked off in the past 2 years. We have been trying our best to make such an old product that has been in operation for nearly 7 years without affecting the original user habit. From art specifications, start to seek some breakthroughs in terms of user experience and other aspects. Especially in terms of art production capacity that everyone is concerned about, we are gradually trying to improve the art, content specifications and conduct in-depth explorations of related functions and playability. Although the improvement efficiency is not as high as we expected, we will make some new attempts in almost every version. After our many explorations and attempts, the current high standard art production capacity has been greatly improved. This is very interesting. First of all, Azure Lane is Manjuu's first fairly big title, right? It's their current cash cow. And it's very interesting how they mention it in this paragraph, because they say it is a nearly 7-year-old game. It feels to me like they're trying to communicate that this is an old game and their intention is to have a new, bigger and better cash cow in form of Azure Promilia. It's also very refreshing to see a video game company expanding instead of firing all their employees to cut costs and creating a new IP, as well as being able to self-reflect because they clearly aren't happy with their current improvements regarding efficiency, and all of that while still updating Azure Lane as well. This shows they are pretty confident about their newest game, Azur Promilia, being a very good game indeed. Let's go to the next point. What kind of world is Azur Promilia? The story of Azur Promilia takes place in the continent of Prilia, a fantasy continent that hosts multiple civilizations, cultures, and ecologies. Players will play the role of Starlanders. After entering the game, they can design their own character image and officially start the adventure in this world. In this adventure, there will be various magical strange waves and characters with different personalities accompanying us on our journey. This is very important because we actually know how the world of Azur Promilia is somewhat going to look like. It definitely sounds more like a open world like Genshin has than, let's say, Honkai Star Rail, since we have only one planet with different biomes, different civilizations and cultures. In fact, we already saw some in the trailers they released. Although the really important thing over here is that they mentioned that the player can design their own character image. Now, I doubt we will be able to create our own character. I'm assuming this is a translation error. I hope, though, to see some more choices regarding the story, that we can actually alter it just a bit at least and have different results, or at least in some side quests. Mine quests, of course, would be even better, but definitely something different to Genshin, where it felt like you could choose A, B, C, or D and the result would be exactly the same. Even though I'm not sure if this is lost through translations, I am very interested and hyped about what they will create with the story. Now let's head to the fourth point. Why are there only female characters in the PV? Short answer, because female anime girls just look better. But anyways, why are there only female characters in the PV? Because we have always been good at designing and controlling female characters. We are very clear about the future direction of the project. The worldview of Azur Promilia is a continent with many species and different races. Our initial plan was that only female characters could be obtained from the Star Arrival card pool. So all characters that could be displayed in the PV were females characters except NPCs. So there is quite a bit of information in this small fourth paragraph. And yes, they want to make a female-only gacha, but they do say that their initial plan was that only female characters could be obtained from the Star Arrival card pool. Now, Star Arrival card pool is probably going to be the gacha system where we pull new characters from. And the problem is the little word initial, because it seems like they changed their opinion that they want to introduce male character in some way or another. And in fact, I was able to find a picture of the two main characters. Yes, plural, there's not just one. Of course, there is a second one. One female version and one male version. Now, technically speaking, this would make this statement still true because their plan was that only female characters could be obtained from the gacha system. If we can choose the main character, there is no gacha system involved, so this statement would still be true. Again, I don't know if this changed due to, or the meaning has changed because of the translation. We need a bit more information about it, as well as they mention they are good at designing and controlling female characters. And if you have ever heard of Azure Lane or even played it, you know very well that Manjuu is exceptionally well or good at creating female enemy characters. So I don't mind it if they make another female-only gacha, because I know they will deliver very good content. So we need more information. Of course, NPCs can be male as well. We did see a pretty muscular man in one of the trailers. Personally, I think he looked amazing. If we have characters like him we can play as, I wouldn't mind either. He looks cool as hell. Anyways, next point. What's going on with those pictures circulating on the internet now? Some interested people used the early settings of our NPCs and villain boss to invalidate the cases, created rumors, and created false character relationship information and maliciously guided users. For these false informations, we will use legal means to resolutely safeguard the rights and interests of Manjuu. This isn't so important for Azur Promilia because there has been an incident where former Manjuu employees, they were fired, leaked some discarded footage of some early stage pictures from a game, probably Azur Promilia. I saw Azure Welking being mentioned as a name, but that is, again, not very important for the state of Azur Promilia. It's just something they have to deal with, unfortunately. But let's keep going on. So lastly, we have point 6. When will the beta of Azur Promilia start? Since the establishment of the project, we have never conducted any form of external closed and recruitment testing. At this stage, our plan is to stabilize the existing internal version first, and after stabilization, we may conduct a series of very small scale closed testing for external players, used to collect opinions and refine products. We hope to further optimize the product through the feedback from the closed test before opening the open recruitment test. However, we will gradually disclose some of our currently completed game content on the official SNS. Please wait patiently and give us a little time. This is quite interesting because they are mentioning 2 betas. One small scale closed testing and one open recruitment test. Now the small scale closed testing sounds like it's very likely going to be China only, although that is not being disclosed over here, but it very well could be China only. And as long as the game releases for all the players on the world at the same time and not for China a year in advance and then global, this is completely fine for me. I don't mind if they get to test the game before everybody else, as long as all the players can play it at the same time. And of course, the second beta seems like it's going to be maybe still a closed beta, but for all the players on the world. There is a little bit of extra that we are, of course, going to read. In the past 2 days, due to the release of the first PV of Azur Promilia, Manjuu Network has also received unprecedented attention from both inside and outside the industry. We are flattered and at the same time feel stressed. Frankly speaking, we only regard this PV as an answer sheet for users and the market, and hand over the phase results to everyone for testing, and we hope to give everyone something to look forward to. Soon after the PV was released, various news related to us spread on the internet, either recognition or controversy. And it is still continuing to this day. As Manjuu, we want to say we know very well what kind of products we have accumulated over the years to support the production of products. And we also understand how to handle the relationship between Starlanders and characters in Azur Promilia. Things are changing rapidly, but our original intention of making games that everyone can have fun has never changed. Finally, if you have any suggestions and feedback, you can convey it to us through private messages. Please also carefully screen the information on the internet. Thank you, Commanders and Starlanders, for your understanding and support. They are probably talking about the Chinese community not liking the fact that this is going to be a female-only gacha. I don't understand why this is, but they don't like it. I think Japan didn't like this game as much as the Western world did either. But at least from China, I know that they didn't like this game to be a female-only gacha. Especially because Azure Lane, technically speaking, is a harem game. But anyways, this is all we have from this official statement coming from Manjuu about the game. Of course, they are asking for a little bit more time. They are not disclosing any release date, not even a release year. We have no idea when this game will actually come out. Only thing I'm sure about is that I am very much looking forward to it. But that is not all we have today, because I did indeed find some interesting pictures about the game, featuring some characters I am pretty sure we have not seen so far. In the first picture, we have something that could resemble a future banner in the game. either the standard banner or a featured 5-star banner with both 2 new characters and 2 new little creatures. First new characters I am pretty sure we never saw is the big featured 5-star, so to speak, with blue hairs and little horns. And the second new character we see is the little white-haired girl in the front. And then of course the little 2 creatures, a little white squirrel mouse looking thing and the other thing I cannot really describe at all. In the second picture we do have a certain location that feels like a sanctuary for these creatures, for these monsters, and of course there is a big fat chicken in the background. There is a certain focus on these eggs, maybe teasing us that we not only can collect these later on in game, but also get them through breeding monsters. Now, of course, there are many little creatures in this picture as well we probably haven't seen so far, but also this little girl sitting on a big mushroom that I think we haven't seen so far. The third picture is nothing too crazy, just showing us some characters we already know, and a little cute dinosaur looking like monster that we haven't seen so far, as well as the jellyfish. Also very interesting is that the character on the right seems to be a dragon lady as well, due to the tail and the horns on her head. In the fourth picture we actually have quite a bit of new stuff. Of course we do see the farming system in action that was already shown to us in a trailer. But if you have a look at the background we can actually see some sort of ore deposits. Now if we take a look at the top right, pretty obvious there is a water monster, a flying water monster, and at the bottom right there is actually a very small nature flower looking like monster as well. And of course pretty obvious on the right side we can have a look at a new character, a blonde elf that looks like a bow and arrow character. Now in the fifth picture we have a better look at the previous girl sitting on a mushroom. A new character we haven't seen so far, as well as some other monsters as well, one which looks very much like a certain Pokemon to be honest. In this next picture we have a better look at some new characters. Of course in the middle all of us know this red-haired cat girl. She feels like the March 7th of Azur Promilia. She feels like the Paimon from Genshin Impact. She's probably going to be a very close companion of the player. But again, we do have a better look at 4 new characters. And of course, all of them are looking pretty damn cool and very different, which makes me happy. We don't have a copy-paste of the same character. We are almost at the end. Right here, we have another look at 2 characters. The blue-haired character on the left, I am pretty sure we already saw in one of the gameplay trailers. The girl on the right, again being the one dragon girl, as well as some fitting little monsters. And lastly, in this last picture, we do have a beautiful look at this Pegasus in this magical looking forest, reminding me of some fairy tales. So here we are at the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It is very hard to find any information about this game, but it makes me only more excited to see more coming soon. I hope you had a good time and see ya.